just designed to be able to add plumbing to the basement, which is below your septic system, or even your gravity flow out to city sewer.
Ask the Pumperdude, ask the Pumperdude, ask the Pumperdude, ask the Pumperdude. Answering your questions in the pod shed right now. Misinformation, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. You know, with us we'll cut out all of the bull. Ask the Pumperdude, ask the Pumperdude, ask the Pumperdude, ask the Pumperdude. Answering your questions in the pod shed right now. Please give us a like, please give us a don't forget to subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Ask The Pumperdude. My name is Jake Chamberlain, and I'm here to answer some more questions. So, it's been a little while since I've posted a video. I try to keep up on comments on my past videos, and what I did today is I just grabbed the comments from my YouTube channel, and I haven't even read most of them. So I'm just going to grab them right now fresh and talk about them with you. Answer some questions. There's some comments on here, and even some emojis. So let's dive right into it. So the first one says, my alarm went off 2 days ago. No rain, just normal house usage of dishes, showers, and laundry. I silenced it and it's not gone off. Went and checked the breaker, nothing was tripped. I literally moved into this house 3 weeks ago. The pump is sealed in my basement, so I can't just go check it without cutting the sealant up. We do that in the Midwest to force it back down. Should I call a plumber? Alright, well, the end of that was a little strange to me. So the first thing I'm guessing, it would not be typical for your septic system pump to be located in your basement. It's quite possible that you have perhaps an ejector pump in your basement, so maybe you have laundry and maybe there's a kitchen in the basement, bathroom, toilet, shower that drains into a basin that's sunk into the floor of the basement. It looks like a sump pump pit, and that will have a grinder pump in it that will pump the waste up out of the basement so that it can get to ground level where the septic tank is located, so that it can get up into that plumbing and flow out to the septic tank. So if you may have an alarm that is connected with your ejector pump, and my best guess, if everything's functioning okay now, most likely your float switch, so just like a pump chamber that's part of your septic system, an ejector pump pit will have a float switch, so that as water comes into that pit, it starts to fill up. It pushes that float switch up, tells the pump to kick on. It kicks on, does its job, grinds up the debris, pushes it up the line, and once it lowers the level in that pit, the float switch lowers, tells it to shut off so it doesn't continue to run and burn up. So my best guess is that something may have gotten caught on that float switch and didn't allow it to kick on when it should. So it triggered the alarm float switch to turn on, to alert you that the pump did not turn on when it was supposed to, and possibly that whatever was caught on that float switch got itself loose, and it kicked on, pumped itself down, and now it's working okay. So I would monitor the situation. It may not be necessary to have someone come out, or you yourself, like you said, it's all sealed up, to go opening that up, unless it is a problem that persists. So I would just monitor it and make sure that it is, when you use water in that area, that it is kicking on and off like it should. And if it is, then it shouldn't be anything to worry about at this time. But if that alarm does keep triggering, there may be something more that you want to get a professional out there to look at. Get that opened up, and I personally would call a professional out to take a look at it if you don't have much experience with those working inside those pits, because being sealed up, it can become a headache. There's lots of, especially depending on how old the unit is, it could be kind of a headache. Once you do get it opened up, which could be tough, it could be quite a headache to put it back together. And make sure that it is sealed so you're not getting any odors, and so it's watertight again. So if you don't have experience with it, I would definitely call somebody out to look at it, take a look at it if that alarm does continue to kick on. So yeah, that's a great example. A lot of homes that have finished basements will have an ejector pump, usually located in the area where your utilities are, and it's just designed to be able to add plumbing to the basement, which is below your septic system, or even your gravity flow out to city sewer, so that ejector pump can allow you to add more usable space to your home, so that you can pump that back up to the gravity level plumbing. So great question. I hope that answered it. I hope that I diagnosed that, guessing at what you were describing there. If it is something to do with your septic system, basically the same solution is gonna exist. If that alarm does not continue to go off and everything, you can hear that pump kicking on, you can hear it moving water away, and it shuts off within a few minutes. That's kind of the normal cycle time. That would be something that you could just kind of monitor and make sure that it is pushing the water away like it should. If that alarm keeps going off, then I would definitely get a professional out there to take a look at it. All right, so this comment, I believe this is from Frank, says, I had a friend with a backhoe install a 500-gallon concrete tank 45 years ago. I live alone and don't let any grease get in the tank, nor water from my clothes washer. I originally put 3 packages of Fleischmann's yeast in the tank about 10 years ago. So he originally put yeast in it, and then about 10 years ago, I looked in the tank, and there was a floating crust about 1/2 inch thick, and I dragged my bar along the bottom, and it felt like there was about 4 or 5 inches of sediment. Added yeast again, opened the tank recently, and the crust and sediment was gone. There was only black water that was almost clear. Added more yeast, never had to pump the tank. Okay, so I think you're kind of trying to make the point that maybe septic tanks don't need to be cleaned regularly. What I can say, and what I'll share, is we've had 1 or 2 customers over the last, let's see, 23, 24 years that may be kind of in a similar situation that you're describing here. Obviously, we've had thousands of customers during that time frame, so there is certainly a possibility that your lifestyle, your usage of the system could allow you to go long periods, decades even, without pumping the tank, and everything keeps functioning fine. And that's great for that very, very small percentage. You're able to get away without having to clean your tank. The reasons for that, well, you described several of them. You're doing a great job of limiting the amount of water that's coming into the system. That limiting of the water isn't necessarily going to have a lot to do with the limited amount of solids that are in the tank, but it is definitely going to have a great impact on the longevity of the drain field itself. No matter how you use your system or how many people are using the system, the more that you can limit the amount of water that's being used, especially all at once, will allow the drain field plenty of rest periods between usage and prevents the drain field from becoming, getting into a flooded state where it's holding water, there's too much water coming in, faster than it can drain through the drain field into the ground. So the more you can limit and avoid having the drain field get flooded, the better and more efficient bacteria growth you'll have in the drain field, which is going to allow that drain field to have a much longer lifespan. I think you did mention that you lived alone, so just one person on the tank. You don't allow any grease into the tank, which of course is absolutely helpful in limiting the amount of solids that are in the tank and the lifespan of the drain field. And the yeast, I don't really personally think that that's actually done anything positive or negative for you. The bacteria in the tank, it occurs naturally. Our body, when we use the system, is always adding bacteria to it, and the bacteria that's in the tank, it multiplies and it feeds off of its food source, those solids that are coming into the tank, and so it breaks down those solids. So what my opinion on this is that it's a biological thing we have going on. Of course, the biggest thing is that it's getting very little use. There's very little solids coming into the tank in general. It's getting very little water use. But then on top of that, I think that some individuals, whether it's because of diet or just genetics, their waste breaks down in a different way than most other users are going to see. So I think just what you've got is the perfect storm, which is working perfectly for you. But you have the perfect storm of all of these variables that we look at in how to most efficiently use your septic system to get as much life out of it as possible. You've got everything lined up perfectly, along with possibly your genetics or your personal makeup that is allowing the system to work in such an efficient way. But again, like I said, we've come across such a few cases that are like this, although we have seen it maybe a handful of times. It's the vast minority of households are going to run into this situation. Way over 99% of users are going to experience issues. You're going to have an overload of solids in the tank, which is going to cause backup in the house. And if the tank is going, overdue between cleanings often throughout the course of the life of the system, that life of the system is going to be drastically shorter than it should be. So more of an anecdotal case, but certainly a case that we have come across. So congratulations to you for having as efficient a septic system as there can be, and but I certainly want to make it known that it is very much the exception and not the norm at all. So, but thank you for sharing that. I think that is something that is interesting to talk about, because there is the question of, well, I've never pumped my tank and I've never had a problem. That conversation does exist, and it is it's something that it's not a myth. There are cases where it is true, but it's certainly not something I would perpetuate to most households. It would certainly be misleading to them to let them know that they could possibly go 45 years without pumping their septic tank. All right, let's see what else we have here. So Norman said, I have square lids on the septic tank, and one has fallen into the tank, and he's looking for, where can I buy a square cover for a riser, square riser cover. So this is this is kind of like the square peg in a round hole question, right? Well, we're gonna kind of flip it. We've got a round lid that's gonna fit over the square cover. So we do have a video that I can throw it in the comments so you guys can click to it and check it out. But we have a instructional video of how to install a riser and lid to the surface on your septic tank. What we very often run in our area, there's round septic tank lids, there's square ones, many different sizes from over the course of time. What we use is called a Seal-R, SEAL-R, Seal-R adapter that we connect to the tank, seal to the tank, and that covers the opening, and then we can attach, we have the riser material tube that extends up that attaches to that Seal-R adapter. So if you have a square opening, you just need a large enough Seal-R, which is round, that will cover the four corners of your opening. So if you go ahead and measure diagonally across the opening of the septic tank, you're going to get your measurement. It's usually going to be, typically is less than 30 inches across, which for a 24-inch Seal-R adapter will usually cover that span. They do make a larger one, which is a little bit tougher to come across, but that's where I would start. Measure that diagonal, and then you just need a Seal-R ring that's going to cover that span, and the installation goes exactly the same. In fact, I believe the video that I have showing the installation have a square opening on the septic tank, so you'll see exactly what I'm talking about there. But the rest of the installation is exactly the same, whether it's round or square. You just need to make sure that there's plenty of coverage so you can get that opening to the septic tank sealed, so we can keep out any moisture from the ground, so it's not able to find its way into the septic tank. All right. What else do we have here? So this next one says, if bacteria breaks stuff down, why do tanks need cleaning? Also, cottonelle breaks down pretty much like toilet paper and is listed on most city websites as safe. All right, so yeah, this was a comment on a video that we made talking about what's safe to put down in the septic tank and what's not. And I think I basically said, well, don't put anything down in the septic tank and you'll be safe. Which, the less you put down, the less solids you're adding to the tank. But the question is, if bacteria breaks stuff down, why do we even need to clean it? The short answer, so the bacteria doesn't typically just make things go away. Okay, so it breaks it down, but what it's doing is it's breaking the sludge and the solids, that paper, everything that's coming into the septic tank. It is taking that large amount of solids and it's breaking it down into a smaller amount. So typically when we come out to clean the septic tank, for a regular maintenance cleaning, we're taking away the stuff that's basically already been broken down, and if we don't clean the tank on a good regular basis, what's going to happen is that the solids in the tank are just going to continue to accumulate. Yeah, it's being broken down, but what's left over is going to continue to build and build and build. And the more solids that we have built up in the septic tank, as water gets used in the house, we have this churning motion that happens in the tank, and that will allow those solids to get mixed up in the tank. So the quick rundown of a septic tank, typically we should have solids that float to the top, there's solids that sink to the bottom, and then the center part of the tank is where our cleanest, what we call a clear zone of water is. That middle part of the tank is what exits through our outlet device and goes out to the drain field. So if we have that water use come in and we have lots of solids in the tank and it starts to mix up into that middle zone, those solids are able to get pushed out of the tank out to the drain field. And the more often that's happening, the less efficient that drain field's going to function, and over time we're going to find that the drain field doesn't last as long as we would hope it would under those circumstances. So yes, bacteria exists, and yes, it's breaking things down, but it isn't making things go away. There's for a typical household, unlike our friend earlier that we talked about who hadn't pumped his tank in 45 years, for most households under normal usage, you are going to have a buildup of solids that's left in the tank, even under good bacterial activity, that the tank's going to need to be cleaned somewhere in the 2 to 4, sometimes 5-year range, depending on how many people are in the house, how large the tank is, and what the usage is like. So bacteria is there to do its job. It's what's allowing us to get years between cleanings, rather than, if there was nothing breaking down, we would be having issues with that tank backing up probably within a few months or so. So that's what that bacteria is doing. And as far as the Cottonelle, Cottonelle is a brand. It is toilet paper, and there's not a huge difference. We'll see marketing, on the packaging of toilet paper that says, "Oh, it's septic safe. This is safe for a septic." That's usually just fluff advertising. It's not necessarily that one breaks down better than the other. The things that are going to be different between different types of toilet paper, the thicker the toilet paper, the more material is there. So the thicker it is, the more paper that's going out into the septic tank is going to accumulate faster than a thinner toilet paper. So it's just something to keep in mind. You're going to use whatever's comfortable, but if you're using a thicker toilet paper, you should have it in the back of your mind that you probably should be getting your tank cleaned, on the shorter end of the spectrum, rather than letting it go longer, where you could end up where you have a large buildup. That toilet paper usually builds up on the top of the tank, and that can plug off that inlet line, that pipe coming from the house into the tank. It'll plug it right off, and you'll be backing up in the house. So that's the main difference between different types of toilet paper. It's all pretty much the same. It's just more of how much added solids are going into the septic tank. All right, let's see. Any other things here? I think we got most of them. This one just says, "God bless all you septic tank people for doing the dirty work." And thank you very much. Someone's got to do it, and we've been blessed with the circumstances in life that have led us to have this knowledge that we're able to share with you. So I'm glad to do that, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to comment and ask questions on so many of our different videos. So please go ahead and keep doing that, and we'll keep answering them. And until next time, I really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode of Ask the Pumperdude. See ya.